Breaking news, Russia delivered a 3-point nuclear ultimatum to France and Britain. We will bomb your countries directly, they're saying. The two ambassadors left sullenly as Russia threatens NATO with a devastating blow. Everyone, Johnny here, don't speak news. Well, they're speaking about this. Hal Turner also confirming these reports about the French ambassador being warned by Russia, and Russia warns British ambassador Russia may strike British forces anywhere, not just in Ukraine, but also anywhere in Europe, wherever they might be stationed. Both the French and British ambassadors to Russia were summoned to the Russian Foreign Ministry this morning. When they came out, they were pale, with nothing to say to the press. Intel sources revealed what they were told. A strong protest was expressed to the British ambassador in connection with the country's foreign minister David Cameron's statement about Kiev's right to strike Russia with British weapons. And he was specifically talking about the longer range ones. The ambassador was warned that the Russian response to Ukrainian strikes using British weapons on Russian territory could be any British military facilities and equipment on the territory of Ukraine and beyond. Yes, this article also says that. This one is about the French ambassador. Earlier today, this website reported that the British ambassador had been warned by Russia, and now we can confirm the French ambassador has also been explicitly warned over Ukraine. The reaction by Paris was clear and unambiguous. The British diplomat spent half an hour in the facility and left without speaking to the press. Following him, the French ambassador arrived to the Russian Foreign Ministry. Within just minutes of his departure, the French Foreign Ministry in Paris issued a statement confirming that France would not send any military forces to Ukraine. And yet they just did. It was in the news yesterday that their artillery people were on the ground, right close to the front line. So what's true, what isn't? Hard to say because we're not in the front lines to see. But Russia's not warning the British ambassador and the French ambassador for no reason. And they're not threatening NATO with a devastating blow, including in their home countries, for no reason. Russia handed the ambassadors of France and Britain a 3-point nuclear ultimatum regarding the arrival of F-16s, a possible strike on the Russian hinterland with NATO weapons, and the presence of NATO forces in Ukraine. A while ago, the ambassadors of France and Britain left the building of the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs covenantally. Well, we'll just say they were sullen. Pierre Levy stayed at the Russian Foreign Ministry for about 40 minutes. The British ambassador in Moscow, Nigel Casey, was also summarized there. We'll just say summoned. Remember, this is a translation from Greek, guys. Half an hour after his arrival, the British ambassador left without saying a word to the media, according to Sputnik's corresponding reports. The head of the French diplomatic mission also declined to speak to reporters. Within 24 hours, there was a rapid escalation of NATO-Russia relations. It was preceded by Cameron and Macron's statements about striking the Russian hinterland with NATO weapons as well as sending NATO forces to Ukraine. Also, today, the German government announced it was recalling its ambassador to Moscow, Alexander Lansdorf, to Berlin for consultations, officially due to a cyber attack on the email accounts of members of the German SPD party, for which Germany blamed the Russian intelligence service. Of course they would. They blame Russia for everything. Why wouldn't they? So what does this ultimatum to Britain and France, what does it mention? Well, Russia warned Britain today that if British weapons were used by Ukraine to strike Russian territory, then Moscow could retaliate by hitting British military facilities and equipment both inside Ukraine and elsewhere abroad. Britain's ambassador, Nigel Casey, was summarized to the Foreign Office to be served with a formal protest after Foreign Secretary David Cameron said last week Ukraine had the right to use British weapons to hit Russia. Russian Foreign Ministry said Cameron's reports acknowledged that Britain was now a de facto involved in the conflict, contradicting assurances that the long-range weapon it has given Ukraine would not be used against Russia. Casey was warned that in response to Ukrainian attacks on Russian territory with British weapons, any British military installations and equipment on Ukrainian soil and abroad could be targeted. And I'll stop there. I'll put the links up like I always do. There you go. It's all on the line now. They've all been warned formally. Stop it or else. And that's it for now. God bless. Take care. Johnny Storm.